Have you been trying to build an online business and make money? Maybe it's not gone quite how you thought. Maybe it's been a little bit challenging, a little bit difficult, a little bit confusing. Have you found yourself bouncing from different idea to different idea? There's a new, shiny, exciting way to make a business, and then you jump off and you're on another new, exciting, shiny way to make a business, and you just don't quite consistently make enough forward progress to getting some of that money in your pocket? Well, if so, you're in luck, because I am going to show you the 7-step framework that I personally have used to generate over $100 million in revenue online across all of my businesses. And it is boiled down from my 25 years of successfully building and growing internet businesses. And so I will share with you in this video this exact 7-step framework that will virtually guarantee you are successful in building an online revenue stream. So are you ready? Let's dive in. Now, this 7-step framework actually hit me. It came to me in the shower of all places. I was taking a shower because I was sore. I wanted to take a very hot shower. My muscles were sore. My back was hurting because I had recently gone to the gym, and I had been through actually 3 solid days of muscle pain from being in the gym. And I did not work out that hard. But here's what happened. I had taken a 4-month gap. Normally, I'm in the gym 2 or 3 times a week, staying in shape, making sure I'm healthy. But I had gone 4 full months of not going into the gym. And I was reflecting on why that was, and it hit me. I should be applying the same strategies that I use in business to my approach to health and to going into the gym and doing other things that sometimes are difficult. And that's where this 7-step framework, it hit me that I should share it with you. And so we're going to start out. The first thing is, how did I get to a point where I had been neglecting something so important as my health? And in your case, it might be that you might go through periods of time where you find it difficult to work on your online business. Maybe you have periods of where you're very excited and you take a lot of action, and then you do steps. Maybe you sign up for a new course, or you buy a new training or new thing. You get very excited, you get active, you're furiously active, and then you sort of withdraw. And then over time, you slowly start to do less and less and less work on your business. It's almost exactly the same pattern. So I get to coach tens of thousands of entrepreneurs and help them build their internet businesses. And so I notice this is the same pattern that I see in them that what hit me at the gym. Does that make sense? So step 1 in this 7-step framework, number 1, is to work on your online business when you don't feel like it, okay? That is number 1. If you get to a point where you're feeling a little burned out, you're feeling a little bit like, I'd rather kind of watch TV tonight instead of going back and grinding on my online business again. Well, this is the perfect time. It is the most important time to push through and do it anyway. Because what you can look at a lot of different reasons for this, whether you want to talk about dopamine and brain chemistry, whether you want to look at just the practical aspects of what happens over time if you don't do the things that you're supposed to do, maybe even spiritual aspects to when you commit energy and time and your decision-making into a project. There's a lot of reasons why, but the point is you absolutely must. The times when you want to, like the least favorite times, you absolutely don't want to work on your business, just do it anyway is step number 1. Step 2, ignore your losses. Every business I have ever had, even my most successful businesses, even to this very day, I have losses. Every day there's a loss that occurs in my business. Something doesn't go right, something stops working, something gets broken. You know, a key employee maybe moves on to a different job. And this is after my business is making millions and millions of dollars. I'm still hitting these problems every single day. And so what I have to do is ignore those losses. And you'll understand why in a minute as I move on to the other steps. So it's not that you won't do anything about them, but as far as looking at them as a loss, as something that is bad and it's going to stop you and going to, set you aside, you have to completely ignore those losses. So if you run ads and you've just spent $100 and you got no sales, you have to ignore it, completely ignore it, which then takes us to step 3. That is, you need to celebrate the wins. So you ignore the losses, and we're going to celebrate the wins. We're just going to celebrate them a little bit. What we're going to do is every single time something positive happens, we want to acknowledge it. Whether if you're into journaling, writing it into a journal. If you take notes, write it into your notes and of your accomplishments. Or maybe it's just taking a moment to just reflect on what you achieved. And these are little wins. So even the little ones. So let's say you just learned something new about building a business or something technical or something related to marketing. Maybe you've just learned it and you've put it into application for the first time ever. That's a win. You need to celebrate those to keep you moving forward. But what you don't want to do is have a giant party and call it good enough. You know, if you have a big win, you want to keep going. So you celebrate them just a little. You just want to reflect on what those wins are for just a moment. Note them down and then move on to get the next big win. The next thing that you'll want to do, step 4 in this framework, is once you've taken action, you've gone out, you've worked when you didn't want to, you didn't feel like it, you push yourself to do it anyway, you've ignored your losses, you've celebrated your wins a little. Now what you want to do is study your results. And what I like to do is at least once a week, I want to go over my results for the week. And here is where you want to take up your losses. So if things did not go well, you want to examine them analytically. Don't let the emotion of the loss knock you down. That's why when you're hit with them, you have to brush them aside and ignore them and just keep going. But there is a time where now you're going to reflect on it, and you want to do it from an analytical, logical perspective, not an emotional one. So that's why I tend to not address those emotional losses in the moment I'm experiencing them. Instead, again, I try to brush them aside, just deal with anything immediately I got to deal with. But in terms of the overall big solution to those losses, I put them off until I can look at the situation logically. And so we're going to study our results. We'll find the losses that we had. We'll find the wins that we had. We're going to examine them and learn from them to then do the next 2 steps. 5, do more of what works. This is something I see so many business people fall flat on. It's crazy to me. So even some of my peers who are making literally millions of dollars in their businesses, they'll tell me all about some exciting advertising campaign they ran, maybe a year ago. And I'll ask them, well, how's it going now? I'm like, oh, I don't know. I stopped doing it. It sounds crazy, but it happens all the time where successful actions that people are doing to build their business, they get forgotten about, they get knocked down to the wayside, and people don't continue doing it. It sounds crazy, but it happens all the time. So what you want to do is right in that week that you encounter some win, you want to note that down into wherever you want to take, whatever note-taking tool that you have, note it down and put it in there as like, okay, here's a win. And it is now policy to continue doing this thing and not ever let it drop out. And even more so, how do we amplify that win? How do we take what was successful and do it bigger, better? Do you need to invest more money into something, put more money into advertising or into whatever that successful activity was to reinforce it and do more of what's working? On the flip side, the 6th step of this is to do less of what doesn't work. Here is where we really can take a look at our losses and figure out how do we knock them off. Maybe we've been spending money on a particular type of an ad and it just isn't working. Well, here's where you can now plan and go, okay, we're going to kill off these ads. What are we going to do instead? And you can bounce off of, okay, well, what's worked before, because we've been studying what's worked in the past, figure out if you can do more of that, or figure out how do you do something different and change those patterns of what doesn't work. And I know what I'm covering here sounds so simple, but nobody does it. Most entrepreneurs, they're just sort of like flying by the seat of their pants, drifting in the wind with no real clear direction. Wherever the wind blows you, you go. Here, by doing these simple steps and making it something that you do every single week at least, you get to seize control over your success or failure rather than blowing in the wind and not necessarily knowing what's going to happen next. And again, from brand new people starting out all the way up to friends and peers of mine who have 7, 8, and even 9-figure businesses, many of them are not doing these things. Well, as you get to 9 figures, very few of them, they're doing this. But even at 7 and 8, I'll see people that aren't doing this, and eventually their businesses fail, even if they're wildly successful. Now, the 7th part of this framework is probably the most important, and that is continue. Don't take a break. There is no rest. If you're new to online business, you're new to entrepreneurship, you can't just take vacations if you haven't yet built your business. You need to get your business running. You need to get some momentum. You need to get systems in place, and it takes a bit of work. So you need to continue. And you probably know what you need to do next, but sometimes you just don't feel like it, which step 7 ties right back into step 1 at the top, which is work on your business when you don't feel like it. So these are the 7 steps. And again, continue is the most important one. Out of all the entrepreneurs that I know that are successful, it is in step 7, the ones who persist and the ones who continue despite how they feel, whether they want to take a vacation, whether they want to go watch TV, whether they want to go out to dinner with their family, whatever it might be that they're trying to escape and avoid the work that comes with their business. Those that continue and persist and push through and apply this 7-step formula are the ones who win. So if you'd like to virtually guarantee your success, you'll start doing this. Take this 7-step formula, the 7-step framework, print it out, and follow it methodically every single week. And then let me know how it goes. So also, I'm very curious if you have any questions about this. Drop those into the comments that you see down below. If there's any questions, feedback, anything else about this framework that maybe has come to you or questions you might have, and I'll drop into the comments and do my best to answer them. And on that note, we're going to wrap up this segment for now. We'll talk more about this soon. I'll see you then. Bye for now. You may or may not know, I have an AI tool that's a company called Pushbutton AI that helps people build course businesses. It builds the whole business, bottom to top. It helps you do the research to pick the niche market, helps you figure out what topics you should write about, what your course should be about, what the lessons should be about. It outlines the lessons. It writes the whole thing. It creates your sales page. It creates your page to get leads to subscribe to your business. It even writes your email sequence. It does audiobooks, video trainings, and a whole lot more. You just answer 2 questions and you hit a button, and it does it all. If you're interested in that, certainly you can book a demo to see it for yourself. You'll see with your own eyes. We're often running webinars and other trainings as well, so I'll drop links to either our webinar or our demos down below so you can check it out and see if it's something for you. But I found that most people get really overwhelmed and frustrated with the technical stuff. So that's why we created Pushbutton AI. If you're looking for a tool, we'll just do it for you, and it'll just handle the technical stuff. So when it comes to like setting up your web hosting, registering a domain name, setting up your email marketing, we even include a complete, fully functional email marketing platform that you can log into and email all of your customers and subscribers. It's all included, and all of the tech setup is done by the AI. If you want that, then definitely schedule your demo. You can get a demo from us by going to pushbutton.ai/demo. Now, at the time of recording this video, Pushbutton AI is not publicly for sale, but if you book a demo, they'll show you the technology, and if it makes sense, if it's something that can really help you, they'll invite you into our early access program. But what they'll do first is show you the technology. They'll talk about what kind of a course you might want to make. They'll talk about your business plans. They'll help guide you on what the right choices are for creating your first course business. And then if it makes sense, if it's the right tool for you, they'll invite you into the early access program. But check out the demo. It's mind-blowing. Again, that's at pushbutton.ai/demo. That's pushbutton.ai/demo.